Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have the ability to achieve amazing things while you feel stuck in the daily routine? The answer is not about having luck or unlimited resources. The key lies in a principle as old as philosophy itself, and we know it thanks to Stoicism. Today, I'm going to reveal to you a powerful secret that can change the way you view life and transform what is possible for you. Imagine for a moment that you could focus completely on what truly matters, and that this simple act of concentration could open the doors to an extraordinary life. Instead of wasting time and energy on distractions, you would focus on the one thing you can control: your thoughts, emotions, and actions. This is the Stoic principle you will discover today. The Stoic secret is not about changing the external world, but about changing the way you relate to it. The Stoics teach us that true transformation starts from within. The control of your mind and the discipline in your daily decisions are what will allow you to achieve what once seemed impossible. Throughout this video, you will see how applying this principle to your life and focusing your efforts on yourself, your values, and your inner peace will open the path for you to achieve the incredible. This is not empty advice. It's a mindset change based on thousands of years of wisdom. And the best part is, it's within your reach, waiting to be discovered. You are about to learn how to become the best version of yourself. Are you ready for amazing things to happen in your life? Let's discover it together. Before we continue, I want to know, are you ready to focus your energy and transform your life? If so, comment the word "focus" in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more powerful advice based on Stoicism. Also, turn on the notification bell because the best is yet to come. Let's do it together. 1. The power of focusing on yourself. Stoicism teaches us that in a world full of chaos and distractions, the only thing we can truly control is ourselves. External circumstances, unexpected events, and the opinions of others are beyond our control. However, our focus, our decisions, and our reactions are entirely our responsibility. This is the foundation of Stoic philosophy, to own our own mind and not be swept away by external currents. Focusing on yourself does not mean being selfish or disconnected from others, but learning to manage our emotions, thoughts, and actions consciously. Stoics like Epictetus remind us that true freedom lies in the ability to direct our attention and energy towards what really matters. The way we relate to the world does not depend on external circumstances, but on how we choose to respond to them. When we focus on what is within our control, we free ourselves from the burden of others' expectations, the fear of judgment, and the need for external validation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, teaches us that inner peace is only attained when we are able to center our minds on what is within our hands and let go of what is not. This focus allows us to make clearer decisions, stay focused on our goals, and act with determination without letting impulsive emotions or external opinions divert us. By doing so, we begin to see obstacles as opportunities for growth instead of failures. Every difficulty becomes a lesson, and every challenge an opportunity to strengthen our character. Instead of worrying about what we cannot control, we learn to use what is under our control to move steadily toward our goals. The power of focusing on oneself also makes us more resilient, as by centering on our inner world, we stop depending on external factors for our happiness. Instead of constantly chasing what others value, we learn to value what truly matters to us and live according to our own principles. This is the true path to a fulfilling, authentic life, free from the distractions of the outside world. 2. Controlling thoughts and emotions. One of the most powerful teachings of Stoicism is the ability to control our thoughts and emotions. Epictetus, one of the most influential philosophers, reminds us that it is not the external events that affect us, but the interpretation we make of them. This means that, although we cannot control what happens around us, we can choose how we react to it. This view transforms the way we face life's challenges and difficulties. The first step to mastering our thoughts and emotions is to acknowledge that we are responsible for our mind. Stoics teach us that by understanding and managing our thoughts, we have the power to transform our emotional responses. When we let our emotions control us, we react impulsively, but when we manage them consciously, we are able to make wiser and more balanced decisions. Controlling thoughts begins with the practice of internal observation. When negative thoughts arise, don't automatically accept them, but pause to reflect on their validity. Are they truly accurate? Can they be changed? Often we are carried away by automatic thoughts driven by fear, anxiety, or frustration. Stoics teach us that we should challenge those thoughts and replace them with more rational and constructive views. As for emotions, Stoics believe we should not repress them, but understand and manage them. Anger, sadness, or fear are natural responses, but when these emotions overflow, they blind us and prevent us from seeing the situation clearly. Practicing emotional self-discipline is essential for achieving lasting well-being. Stoics advise using reason to put our emotions into perspective, understanding that they are not outside of our control, but depend on how we decide to process them. The key is constant practice. Every day is an opportunity to exercise control over our thoughts and emotions, creating a stronger, clearer, and calmer mind. This doesn't mean ignoring what we feel, but learning to channel our emotions in a way that allows us to grow and move toward our goals, without being carried away by impulsive reactions. In this way, our well-being and our decisions depend more and more on our ability to manage ourselves. 3. Mindless detachment from the external. One of the deepest principles of Stoicism is the importance of detaching from the external. The Stoics teach us that true happiness does not come from material things or the opinions of others, but from our own inner peace and the way we relate to the world around us. This detachment does not mean renouncing everything valuable in life, but learning not to emotionally depend on external factors that we cannot control. The desire for material possessions, social status, or external approval often leads us to live a life of constant dissatisfaction. If we place our happiness in something beyond our control, such as money or external validation, we become vulnerable to uncertainty and frustration. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, reminds us that our inner peace must depend solely on what is under our control, our own decisions, principles, and attitudes. Detachment is not about being indifferent or insensitive, but about freeing ourselves from the compulsive need to seek external approval or accumulate material goods to feel complete. Stoicism teaches that when we stop depending on external things for our happiness, we begin to live according to our own values and make decisions aligned with our true nature, not with society's expectations. Seneca delves deeper into this concept by stating that true luxury is not having more, but being able to enjoy what we already have without needing more. This principle invites us to reflect on what we truly need to live a full life. By practicing detachment, we begin to see that true abundance lies in our ability to appreciate the simple and the essential. Moreover, detachment allows us to free ourselves from emotional attachments that often tie us to situations or people that do not contribute to our well-being. By ceasing to expect validation from others, we become stronger and more autonomous, capable of making decisions based on what truly matters to us. In this way, we develop lasting peace that does not depend on the ups and downs of the external world. Detachment, then, is a powerful tool that allows us to achieve an emotional freedom that few experience. It teaches us to be the masters of our inner peace, without letting the external noise distract us from what truly matters. 4. Mindless mastery of the will. Mastery of the will is one of the foundational pillars of Stoicism. Stoic philosophers, such as Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, emphasize the idea that true freedom and power lie in our ability to govern our own will. The will, understood as our capacity to make decisions and act according to our principles, defines our character and ultimately, our life. Modern life is full of distractions and temptations, but the Stoics teach us that we are free to choose how we react to them. Mastery of the will is not simply about following discipline and habits, but being conscious of every action we take and ensuring that it aligns with our values. When we are able to direct our will toward what truly matters, we can overcome difficulties and remain focused on what we really want to achieve. One of the great mistakes we make is confusing lack of discipline with lack of freedom. Modern culture often teaches us that freedom is doing whatever we want at any time, but in reality, true freedom comes from self-discipline and the ability to make conscious decisions. As Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that if we master our will, we will be able to control our reactions, emotions, and thoughts, and not be driven by fleeting impulses or desires. Mastery of the will also involves the ability to say no to things that do not contribute to our well-being or growth. Instead of following impulses or yielding to others' expectations, Stoic willpower teaches us to prioritize what truly matters. This requires courage and determination, as we often face external pressures that seek to divert our attention. Discipline, therefore, is an act of personal liberation. When we master our will, we free ourselves from the chains of uncontrolled desire and become more autonomous and resilient. The constant practice of strengthening our will allows us to act with purpose, without letting our emotions or external circumstances control us. This mastery leads us, step by step, toward a more balanced and fulfilling life. 5. Mindless acceptance of the uncontrollable. One of the most powerful and liberating teachings of Stoicism is the acceptance of the uncontrollable. We live in a world where we are often trapped by situations, people, and events that are beyond our reach. The Stoics, like Epictetus, constantly remind us that there is a clear distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. True inner peace is achieved when we accept what we cannot change and focus on what is within our control. Most of our frustrations, tensions, and anxieties come from struggling against what we cannot modify. We worry about the future, the decisions of others, or circumstances beyond our influence. However, suffering increases when we insist that things be a specific way that we cannot force. The Stoics propose a radical response to this challenge: accept what we cannot control and let go of the desire to change it. Acceptance of the uncontrollable does not mean resignation or passivity, but rather an act of wisdom and serenity. As Marcus Aurelius said, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." This reminds us that not everything that happens in the world has to be favorable to us, but we must understand that what happens is beyond our power. Instead of resisting, we must calmly accept and adapt to the circumstances, keeping our inner peace intact. The first step toward this acceptance is understanding that many of the things we worry about are not under our influence. The weather, the actions of others, illness, accidents, and many other events. By focusing on what we can control, such as our reactions, attitudes, and decisions, we can free ourselves from the emotional burden of worrying about the uncontrollable. Practicing this acceptance has a profound impact on our emotional resilience. By letting go of what we cannot change, we gain a greater sense of peace and clarity. Stoic acceptance teaches us not to fight against the flow of life, but to navigate it gracefully. This attitude gives us the strength to face adversity without losing our inner stability. Finally, acceptance of the uncontrollable teaches us to value what truly matters: our personal growth, our relationships, and our ability to make conscious decisions. By focusing on what we can control and accepting what we cannot, we achieve a life that is more serene, balanced, and fulfilling. 6. Marcus gratitude as a daily habit. Gratitude is one of the most powerful practices we can incorporate into our daily lives, and the Stoics consider it a fundamental tool for achieving inner peace. Stoic philosophy teaches us that, instead of focusing on what we lack or what we cannot control, we must learn to value what we already have. Gratitude, then, is not just an emotion, but a habit we must cultivate consistently. Every day, we can find reasons to be grateful, even in the midst of difficulties. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, reminds us that each day is a gift, and if you do not value it, you may lose it. This reflection invites us to be mindful of the small blessings we often overlook. The simple act of waking up, having access to what we need to live, or the opportunity to learn something new, are sufficient reasons to practice gratitude. Daily gratitude changes our perspective. When we focus on what we have, rather than what we lack, we shift our mindset from scarcity to abundance. This change in focus allows us to appreciate what is truly valuable in life: relationships, health, time, and peace of mind. The Stoics also consider gratitude an antidote to resentment and frustration, as it helps free the mind from negative thoughts and connects us with what truly matters. Incorporating gratitude as a daily habit does not require major changes, but small moments of reflection. Each night, before sleeping, we can think of 3 things we are grateful for. This simple exercise can change the way we see the world. When we begin to appreciate what we have, we stop seeking validation or satisfaction in external factors and find peace within ourselves. Moreover, Stoic gratitude also teaches us to be thankful for challenges. Obstacles are not seen as something negative, but as opportunities for learning and growth. Thus, gratitude becomes a powerful tool to find meaning in everything we experience, both the good and the bad. By practicing it daily, we create a resilient mindset, capable of staying focused on what truly matters without losing sight of the blessings around us. 7. Midas, the fear of failure. The fear of failure is one of the most powerful emotional barriers that prevent us from moving forward and achieving our goals. This fear, often irrational, paralyzes us, makes us doubt our abilities, and leads us to avoid taking risks. However, Stoicism offers a different perspective on failure. We should not fear failure, but see it as an opportunity to learn and improve. For the Stoics, failure is not the end, but a natural part of the growth process. Epictetus, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, stated, "It is not what happens to you that matters, but how you react to it." This phrase invites us to reconsider our relationship with failure, not as something negative, but as an invaluable lesson. If we adopt this mindset, we discover that every mistake or fall is simply a learning opportunity that brings us closer to our goals, as long as we are willing to learn from the experience. The fear of failure arises from concern about external consequences, such as the judgment of others or the loss of status. However, the Stoics teach us to focus on what is under our control. We cannot control how others will react to our failures, but we can decide how we react ourselves. If we face each challenge with courage and without fear of failure, our well-being will not depend on external opinions, but on our ability to handle difficulties with serenity and wisdom. Failure also reminds us of our impermanence and limitations as human beings. Each mistake teaches us something new about ourselves and helps refine our skills and make better decisions in the future. Great Stoic thinkers, such as Seneca, teach us that life is not a straight path, but one full of curves, failures, and successes, and that we must accept failures with the same serenity with which we celebrate successes. Finally, the true measure of success is not avoiding failure, but how we rise after falling. The Stoics encourage us not to fear failure, but to see each fall as an opportunity to rise stronger, wiser, and more prepared to face future challenges. Failure is not the enemy. It is the fear of failure that truly limits us. 8. Living according to nature. Living according to nature. Living according to nature is one of the fundamental principles of Stoicism. This concept refers not only to the external nature, but also to our internal nature as human beings. According to Stoic philosophers like Zeno of Citium and Epictetus, living in harmony with nature means acting according to our reason and principles, aligning ourselves with the natural order of the universe, which is rational and harmonious. For the Stoics, human nature is defined by our capacity for reasoning and our will to live according to what is right. Living in accordance with nature involves developing our virtues such as wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation, and acting in harmony with our reason. This means making decisions that are in tune with who we are at our core, without being driven by irrational passions or excessive desires. This principle also invites us to accept the impermanence of life and the natural laws of the universe. Nature teaches us that everything is in constant change, the seasons, the cycles of life, birth and death. The Stoics urge us to accept these changes with serenity, understanding that they are part of life itself. When we live in resistance to what is natural, we face unnecessary frustration and suffering. On the other hand, when we accept nature as it is, we can live more fully, knowing that everything follows a natural course, and we are an integral part of that process. Living in accordance with nature also means adapting to circumstances instead of resisting them. Rather than wishing that things were different, we must learn to accept them as they are and act within what is within our control. This approach gives us peace, as it frees us from the constant desire to control the uncontrollable. Finally, the Stoics teach us that nature is not separate from us, but that we are an extension of it. Thus, living according to nature is living in harmony with the universe, guided by reason and accepting all that it offers with gratitude and wisdom. 9. Eliminating excessive desires. One of the central concepts of Stoicism is the need to eliminate excessive desires. The Stoics teach us that unrestrained desire for material pleasures, power, wealth, or social recognition is a constant source of frustration and suffering. According to Stoic philosophers such as Seneca and Epictetus, controlling our desires is not only a path to serenity, but also a crucial step toward true freedom and inner peace. Excessive desires are those cravings that arise when we seek external satisfaction, such as accumulating material goods, social status, or constant approval from others. These desires are not only insatiable, but also make us dependent on external factors which are beyond our control. Stoicism teaches that true freedom lies in freeing ourselves from these external bonds, focusing on what truly depends on us: our own attitude, choices, and virtue. The philosopher Epictetus expressed it clearly. It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Instead of seeking satisfaction through material desires, the Stoics invite us to cultivate the ability to enjoy what is essential and recognize that true wealth lies not in what we possess, but in how we relate to what we have. By eliminating excessive desires, we stop being slaves to the constant search for more and begin to value what truly matters: our health, relationships, and personal growth. Moderation is the key to Stoicism. Excessive desire is an obstacle to inner peace because it keeps us in a cycle of dissatisfaction. The goal is not to renounce pleasures completely, but to learn to enjoy them in moderation without relying on them for our happiness. Seneca, in his writings, speaks about how unchecked desires take us away from our true nature and plunge us into a constant state of anxiety and stress. Self-discipline is fundamental to this process, as it allows us to act with reason, not uncontrolled impulses. By eliminating excessive desires, we achieve greater inner peace. We become less vulnerable to the external fluctuations of life, such as a lack of money or social disapproval. We realize that we do not need more than what we already have to be happy. This mindset allows us to live more simply and authentically, guided by our values, and gives us the freedom to be ourselves, without being tied to the expectations of the outside world. 10. Focus on the present. One of the most powerful and liberating principles of Stoicism is the focus on the present. The Stoics believe that our inner peace can only be found when we let go of worries about the future or regrets about the past and focus fully on the here and now. Living in the present is not just a strategy to reduce stress, but a deep practice of wisdom that helps us make conscious decisions aligned with our most important values. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Time is a river that drags everything, without us being able to stop its current." This phrase highlights the fleeting nature of time. We cannot change what has happened, nor control what will happen in the future, but we can choose how to act now. The Stoics teach that by focusing on the present moment, we stop being prisoners of our minds, which constantly travel between the past and the future, dragging us into anxiety and worry. The past is something we can no longer modify. Worrying about what happened is not only useless, but can also be detrimental to our emotional well-being. Regrets, guilt, and what-ifs pull us away from inner peace and keep us trapped in thoughts that have no power over the present. By letting go of the past, we free ourselves from its chains and learn to focus on what we can do now. The future, on the other hand, is uncertain. No one can predict what will happen, and obsessing over what could occur plunges us into a constant state of anxiety. Stoicism teaches us to focus on our present actions without excessively worrying about the future. This does not mean not planning or having goals, but rather that, in doing so, we should maintain a calm mind, understanding that we only have control over what we do at this moment. Living in the present involves accepting reality as it is, without resisting it. This requires an attitude of acceptance and serenity in the face of current circumstances. The Stoics invite us to practice gratitude for what we have in the present, to recognize the value of each moment, and to use that time productively and aligned with our principles. The focus on the present also helps us to be more productive and efficient. When we focus entirely on the task at hand, without distractions or scattered thoughts, we can do more effective work and achieve greater results. The full attention we give to the present moment allows us to make the most of our abilities and improve our quality of life. In summary, by focusing on the present, we cultivate mental peace, efficiency, and a life richer in meaning. The future and the past are just shadows. The only reality is the now. Living according to this Stoic principle allows us to find tranquility in conscious action and live with authenticity, without being dragged by the mental chaos of the past or the uncertainty of the future. 11. Constant and disciplined behavior. Constant and disciplined behavior is a key principle in Stoicism. For the Stoics, true freedom does not come from the ability to do whatever we want at every moment, but from having control over our actions and thoughts, acting according to reason and not momentary impulses. Discipline, therefore, is seen as a fundamental tool for achieving virtue, inner peace, and long-term well-being. The philosopher Epictetus taught that self-control is the foundation of true freedom. When we let ourselves be carried away by immediate desires, whether indulgence in material pleasures or the avoidance of effort, we become slaves to our emotions and reactions. In contrast, discipline allows us to make conscious decisions that align with our values and long-term goals, without being swept away by the chaos of the moment. Discipline does not mean living a rigid life with no space for enjoyment. Rather, it is about making decisions in a consistent and focused manner, without straying from what we know is right. It is the ability to resist instant gratification in order to achieve bigger and more meaningful goals. The Stoics teach us to be masters of our actions, not slaves to our desires. This involves creating habits that bring us closer to our goals and maintaining a constant attitude, even when circumstances change or difficulties arise. Constant behavior refers to perseverance in the daily practice of virtue. A single virtuous act does not make us wise or just, but it is the daily repetition of actions aligned with our principles that forms our character. Consistency and discipline is what allows us to progress each day, even in times of adversity. As Seneca said, true virtue lies in what we do continually, not in what we do occasionally. The key is not to give up and to keep working each day, no matter how difficult the obstacles are. Discipline is also closely related to self-restraint. It is the ability to distance ourselves from what is unnecessary or superficial and focus on what is essential. Self-control helps us avoid indulgence in destructive behaviors, such as overeating, excessive drinking, or entertainment, and focus on what truly improves our lives. Practicing discipline day after day strengthens our will, making us more resistant to temptations and more committed to our goals. Finally, constant and disciplined behavior leads us to a more balanced and fulfilling life. It allows us to fulfill our responsibilities, maintain healthy relationships, and achieve the personal growth we seek. Through the constant practice of discipline, we cultivate a clear and serene mind, capable of facing life's challenges with resilience and wisdom. By living in a disciplined way, we not only achieve our goals, but we also find a deep inner peace that does not depend on external ups and downs, but on our own ability to act with integrity and purpose. 12. Apply the secret in your life. The secret the Stoics refer to is not something mystical or esoteric, but a fundamental principle that has been key to inner peace and well-being throughout the centuries. The ability to control our reactions and actions in the face of what we cannot control. For the Stoics, the secret lies in accepting what is beyond our power to change and focusing our energy solely on what we can influence: our mind, our decisions, and our attitude. Epictetus expressed this clearly. Some things are under your control, and others are not. This fundamental distinction is the heart of the Stoic secret. It invites us to free ourselves from the worry over the uncontrollable and focus entirely on what we can manage: our conduct, our emotions, and our interpretation of events. Applying this secret in daily life begins with recognizing and accepting that most external circumstances are beyond our influence. We cannot control the actions of others, economic crises, or unexpected changes in life, but we can choose how we react to them. The first step to applying this secret is cultivating an acceptance mindset. This does not mean passively resigning to what happens, but recognizing with wisdom that life is full of uncertainties and challenges. By accepting this truth, we free our minds from the frustration and anxiety that arises from trying to control the uncontrollable. From there, we can make decisions with serenity and focus, aligned with our values and principles. Controlling our thoughts is another key piece of this secret. When we allow ourselves to be carried away by negative thoughts, fears, or insecurities, we move away from emotional balance. The Stoics teach us to observe our thoughts and question them, especially when they divert us from reason or lead us to unnecessary suffering. Applying the secret means pausing before reacting, reflecting on what we can change, and then taking action with clarity and calm. Finally, the Stoic secret also involves a perspective of gratitude and humility. Instead of focusing on what we lack, we should value what we have and be aware that every moment is an opportunity to grow and improve. Stoicism teaches us to see life not as a set of challenges to fear, but as a series of lessons that give us the opportunity to strengthen our character and develop our virtue. By applying this secret in your life, you free yourself from the weight of external expectations and focus on what truly matters: your inner peace, your principles, and your ability to respond with wisdom to any situation. This is the true power of the Stoic secret. It is not about controlling the external world, but mastering our internal responses and finding peace amidst any storm. In conclusion, applying Stoic principles in your daily life allows you to achieve lasting inner peace by focusing on what you can truly control: your thoughts, emotions, and actions. By detaching yourself from the uncontrollable and cultivating constant discipline, you become more resilient and serene in the face of challenges. Remember that true freedom and happiness do not depend on the external world, but on how you choose to respond to it. Thus, living with these principles leads to a fuller life aligned with your true nature.